Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mike Kollin at seductionpower.com. Now, this channel is kind of a reflection of who I am. It's kind of paradoxical. And this is what I mean by that. Everything about me is about helping people. My number one value in life is love. The next one is honesty. Just being a good person all the way around. So you might be going, what about the word seduction? Well, here's the thing. This course, okay, let me pause and think about how to say this. You know, I dedicated my entire life since I was 19 years old to learning different ways, different skill sets, getting certified and trained in hypnosis, timeline therapy, neurolinguistic programming. I studied psychology in college. I have over 22, maybe 24 units in psychology classes. Everything that I've done is working really hard, spending all of my money, not even tens of thousands. I think at this point it's over $100,000 on my education. For what? To help other people to heal. Now here's the interesting thing. Love is the most important value to me. So dating and relationships to me is very, very important. I think it's really important that, here's essentially how this started. Have you ever seen your mother or father, or maybe you've been in a relationship where you were just madly, not just you, but both of you, were madly head over heels in love with each other. And that first year, maybe 2 years, maybe more, was just bliss. It was just this amazing experience. And then all of a sudden, these two people who loved each other for a fairly good long length of time started to hate each other, started to rip each other apart, started to destroy each other's lives. Now, I'm not talking about how when someone's in love with a narcissist that manipulated them, it's false love and they're just shredding them because that's what they do. I'm not talking about that. I mean two good people that genuinely were in love, loved each other from the core of who they truly are, and it ended up in this complete nightmare. That's why I got into this business, so you could fall in love, be in love, and stay in love. And that's why women kept calling me the love doctor. That's where I got that nickname from. Whenever I, teach a woman this course, the female side, they would kind of pause and say, "You're the real life love doctor." Now here's even more of the paradoxical side. My entire course is based on clarity and communication, understanding the female brain, understanding the female language and communication, understanding how she receives love in the right brain, internal female way. So listen to what I've been saying throughout this whole video. Love, understanding, clarity, giving her love in the way that she needs to receive it. So you're like, well, where's the seduction? It's in the love. See, the paradoxical side of this whole thing is that on accident, simply because, when I was about, I can't remember, 20 some years old, I don't remember how old I was, 21, maybe 22, I don't remember the exact age. I was an associate pastor at a church in Mountain View on, I think it was Elkhorn or Eckhart Street. I can't remember the name of the street. So I was an associate pastor of this genuine real church with a church building. It was a formerly Southern Baptist church that became non-denominational, and the elders voted me in. I didn't even ask to be a pastor, but I had spoken a few times. They had known me for years, and they're like, yeah, this guy's the real deal. So the pastor approached me and said, hey, let's talk. Hey, you were voted in to be the associate pastor. I'm like, really? So what happened was I had moved away before that, but I kept going to church there. I was driving. I think it was like an hour and a half drive from where I was at to go to Mountain View. And my dad, when I lived with my dad for exactly a year, I think it was May 5th to May 5th, like the exact day I moved in was the exact day I moved out. The church was on the other side of the street and then down 5 houses on the corner. So it was right there. So for me to go to church, I'd basically roll out of bed, take a shower, and just walk down the street. So for the first time in my life, I went and got there early, saw my dad, had breakfast. I think I got there like at 9:30 in the morning or something like that. I don't remember exactly what time it was. And for the first time, he walked me out the front door with me, and was down the driveway. So his house was kind of set back because there was a house in front. So the driveway went past that house, and he was in the back. And we were walking up the driveway. It's kind of a long driveway. And just before we got to the sidewalk, now this was out of the clear blue sky. My dad just, like, we were talking normally. And I said, hey, Dad, why don't you come to church, check it out. And I was trying to explain, like, Dad, it's not about being judged and, all that stuff. And I had asked him before, I don't know if it was that day or another day, but I said, Dad, do you believe in God? And he said, yes, Michael, I do, but not in the way that they do. And he meant the church. And that was good enough for me. That's all that mattered. So again, I don't remember if that was that day just before we left the house, but we're walking down the driveway talking about normal stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of looking at my dad like, when is he going to stop walking? Because I was like, and so I thought, well, maybe he wants me to invite him to church. So I said, Dad, why don't you come to church, blah, 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 blah. And then he said, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. And he changed the subject. And as we got to the sidewalk, he burst out into tears. And I mean loudly. Now, here's the deal. I've never seen my dad cry in my life before. And he burst out and he says, out of the clear blue sky, and he's crying. He cries this out loud. And he goes, if God is so great, why did he make it so hard to love a woman? And he was just bawling and bawling. Now, mind you, he was married to my stepmother at the time. And here's what he says after that. He cries out, he goes, the harder I tried to love your mother, the angrier she got. The more I did, the more mad she got. And he was just, man, he was bawling hysterically. I mean, just sobbing. Now, mind you, this was my first time going to the church to give a presentation as an associate pastor. Now, this shocked the living shit out of me. And I froze. I was stunned. I couldn't talk. I gave my dad a hug, and I just said, Dad, I have to go. I'm going to be late. And I walked away. I was so shocked and so stunned. It was like a traumatic experience. I don't know what the word, like I was stunned, like I couldn't even, like my mind just went blank. Now, a lot of people talk about spiritual awakenings. I went through this massive, massive spiritual awakening. It was a 6-month-long spiritual awakening, and I was doing things that you just didn't think would be possible. Now, my new website doesn't have the testimonial page of my energy healing videos of people I've actually healed, with husbands and wives on there, with the wife saying, hey, my husband couldn't walk for 3 years or 5 years, and Michael came along and he healed his hips, he healed his back, now he's back to work, he does physical labor. These guys have seen doctors. I healed 2 women of cancer, full blown, where the doctors gave up, said, hey, there's nothing we can do. So the other side, if you guys don't know it, it's real. So I go to the church, and I had like 3 minutes to walk in the door, and everybody was there. You could hear them singing and stuff, and I went downstairs into the basement with the room downstairs, and I prayed, because it was like God left me. It was like God wasn't there. So the whole time of the spiritual awakening, there was this weird, really cool presence of just knowing what to do, of knowing what to say. That left. That was gone. And I literally prayed, like, God, come back. Like, why are you leaving me now when I have to talk in front of the church? Like, he was just like, it was almost like God said, because you have to do this. And this was the time to have faith. And this is one of those moments where you're like, man, like everything left, like it's just emptiness. And like, this is what it means to have faith in the face of, guys, you understand, I was a fairly young dude still, and speaking was not my main gig yet. I was trained in it, and I took speech class, so I was pretty good at it. But this was a total, I don't know how to explain it. So I took faith, and I went up the stairs. I walked down the middle of the church in front of everyone. I walked up on the podium, and the pastor, he was just grinning from ear to ear. I had this entire presentation outlined, practice it every day for 7 days. And I started reading from it, and I stopped, and I just stared at everyone for a while. And in walked my dad for the first time in his life. He'd never been to church before. I just ripped it up. I literally ripped it up in front of everyone. And I said, I can't do this. I cannot read a memorized presentation in front of you guys. I can't do that. I go, I'm just going to speak from the heart. If you took my course, you'd know that's exactly what the course is about. It's not about memorized lines or openers. It's learning how to communicate in a different way. It's learning how to communicate your emotions and feelings in a way that she can understand them, in a way that her neurological system can receive your love, receive your expressions. That's what women mean when they say, I'm looking for a man. How do they say it? A man who can express his emotions. And most men in the 70s took that as, oh, you mean like cry at the movies? Like, no, they don't mean cry. It could be happiness, it could be joy, it could be angry, it could be frustration, it could be anything. But if you don't communicate it in the right brain language, she's going to look at you with a blank going, I have no idea what this guy's saying. Like, I remember my ex-girlfriend, I was flipping out, yelling and screaming at her, like, why the fuck would you do that, blah, blah, blah. And she could like, what are you mad about? I don't understand. And she finally goes, you know what? When you're ready to just talk to me and tell me what you're feeling, give me a call. And she walked out the door and holy shit, did I lose my fucking shit. But as I was beginning to learn more and more about the female brain, I began to realize like, holy shit, she literally meant, I can't understand you. When you're ready to talk to me and tell me what you're feeling, then give me a call. Because I was expressing it in the language of the male brain, which her right brain can't understand. And that's something that you guys are one day going to have to come to grips with. We don't communicate in a way that women can understand us. Now, I spoke in that church. I was supposed to go for an hour, but I went to an hour and a half, and everybody was just stunned. And the pastor was grinning from ear to ear. His wife was grinning. They were giggling. I was just speaking from my heart. And luckily, because of this awakening, I was rereading my Bible from beginning to end. I had all these different bookmarks in there, and boom, intuitively it just came to me. Go to Matthew, verse, chapter this, verse this, blah, 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 and read this. And what does that say? And what does that mean? I was just speaking off the cuff, speaking from my heart. Everything came up perfectly in divine, whatever you want to call it, divine moment or whatever. And it's like I had everything lined up on some level, and it just came out. The elders, they always sat in the back. They were in awe. They were just stunned. I was even accusing the people in the church, saying, like, I'm telling you right now, if Jesus were to walk in that door, and I pointed to the other end of the church, or the main entrance, if he were to walk in here right now, I guarantee you, even if you knew that was Jesus, you would reject him viciously. You would deny him to this day. That was a stunner. And I said quite a few other things about faith and actually what it means to believe. So here's what happened. My dad, whatever he did, that whole thing, that shocked me on a level you can't imagine. Because it was out of left field. Like, he wasn't emotional before. He was just, hey, blah, 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 just talking normal, walking me down the driveway, which he'd never done before. And then, boom, he just burst out. And that, something about the way he did it impacted me. It's like something, boom, it hit my heart. It hit my chest, and it's like it ripped me open. Here's what happened after that. I started studying psychology in school like you would not believe. I read every book, every line. I would ask the teacher a million questions. I was studying NLP like a psycho. I was going to bed with my headphones on, listening to the audio of the courses and going to every course. I was like reading the Bible, picking it apart. I was buying these dictionaries for the Old Testament and the New Testament. I bought a King James Bible with an Old Testament dictionary in the back and a New Testament dictionary to look up what did this word mean in that time, in that region when it was spoken. Because words change meaning over time. Now, luckily, I'd been trained in linguistics and been training in neuro-linguistic programming and learning about how the definitions and meanings of words are so important. Like, one of the things that happens between men and women, the right brain gives a completely different meaning to the same words than the left brain. She means A, he processes the same words through the left brain, and now he's hearing B, he's saying, yeah, this is the definition and meaning of these words. And she's like, no, it's not. When I say this, I mean that. He's, no, you said this and this means that. And you'll argue to fucking death over nothing. All you need to do is literally stop and go, okay, when you say this, What does that mean to you? Because that's what you want. That's what they're communicating. You can't sit there and go, well, my definition is the complete opposite, therefore you're saying what I'm saying. No, she's not saying what you're fucking saying. She's saying what she's saying. You need to learn to listen to understand them and what they're saying and what their intention and meaning is. This is why humans, not just men and women, but man, do we get screwed up in communication, because like this person has this definition and this person has a completely opposite definition. For example, when I was a little kid, I saved up, I had 4 paper routes. I saved up for 3 months to buy the brand new Converse blue suede shoes. They were like a tennis shoe. And I saved and I bought them and I cherished them. The first day I put them on early in the morning, I was so proud of them. My older brother had just moved back from Hawaii and he walks in the room and goes, man, Michael, those shoes are bad. And I'm like, what? Because on the West Coast, the word bad started to mean good. Like in California and stuff. So this was around, I think, 1978 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what year it was. But I was sad because I was probably 11 years old or something like that. And I'm like, oh, what's wrong with them? And he goes, no. Because Michael, those are bad. I'm like, why are they bad? And then my other brother, who was in between, a little older than me but younger than my older brother, he said, no. He's saying they're good. And I'm like, what? Well, then why doesn't he say that? He goes, Michael, and then my older brother goes, because they're bad. And I'm like, I just fucking confused the fuck out of me, so I walked out of the room. So these are the skill sets you're going to learn in my course in Crack the Female Code and Seduction Power, and how to actually understand and communicate in a way that she can understand you. Now, admittedly, this is one of the simplest patterns we're going to learn in this. There's going to be some more complex ones that are going to be much more in depth. But you're going to understand what it is that women want from you, and then how to give it to them. And yes, this is very seductive. Now back to that part of this. It's the oddest thing. The paradox in this whole thing is, I went down this path because of my dad. I read the Bible like my life depended on it. I would look up every definition, every word. What did this word mean then? And you can, in the Greek language, in the Hebrew language, there's a lot of stuff in our Bibles that were translated completely, utterly, totally wrong. Not even close to the actual meaning or definition from the actual language. Forget about the whole time, region area kind of thing. But like when the Bible says fear the Lord your God, that's not what, because a lot of Christians are like, do you fear the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul? I'm like, oh no, I love God. And they're, and they stutter, like, wow, that actually makes sense. Yeah, God doesn't want you to. Now this isn't a Christian thing, but I'm trying to give you an example. That word in the original Hebrew language, it didn't mean fear at all. That'd be like, in Spanish, hola means hello in English. It'd be like saying hola means close the door. It doesn't fucking mean close the door. Hola means hello. So the word that the Christians are translating into fear, it doesn't mean fear. It means to admire, to revere, and to seek shelter under. Meaning to seek protection from God. Not fear, not punishment. Holy shit, was that word fucking changed into something it did not mean at all. So my journey, studying psychology, studying NLP, round the clock. My girlfriend, she took me to Buddha.com and she said he studies all day long. He goes to college, he studies, he does his homework, and then he studies NLP for about 4 hours at night before he goes to bed. She goes, he doesn't stop. He's like, oh no, you can't do this. This isn't good for your brain. You can't learn as well. You're overwhelming. You got to give it time to rest and kind of go through the information on an unconscious level, blah, 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 blah. And so I was like, oh, okay. Now here's what I'm trying to say. I did not understand what I was doing, and I didn't understand consciously why I was doing it. I had no idea. It wasn't until 12 years later when I stopped and I had a conversation with my mother one night over the phone and said, Mom, Dad loved you. She goes, no, he didn't. I'm like, Mom. And then I taught her the predicate system and the deep love strategy. And she goes, oh, wow, your dad did that all the time. I go, yes, that's Dad's way of expressing his love. That was his deep love strategy. Yours is the opposite. So when he was trying to express his love in his way, you couldn't receive it. She got really quiet for the first time in her fucking life. And she goes, so your dad did love me? I was like, yes. Dad's always loved you. He's still in love with you. And that was the realization at the end of the driveway when my dad said, no matter what I did to love your mother, she always got mad. And I wait, what did you say? Like, my dad was still in love with her. So my mom finally understood this, and we kind of quietly hung up, and it dawned on me, holy shit, this is why I was staying up till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, listening to audio NLP. I was searching for an answer, and I didn't even fucking realize why I was searching. It was because of my father, and that day he burst out into tears. That's why I created this course. This is how the journey started, and this is why I've been doing this for 30 years. The course is about love, communication, and a deep, deep level of actual clarity and understanding. Now here's the paradoxical part of it. That's seduction to a woman. Her mating system was designed to be triggered by a male who learns how to communicate in the right brain language. That's why her mating system has a nerve that curves off to the right brain's communication center. Right brain, not left. This isn't just seductive. This is the most powerful form of seduction on the planet. Hands down, no questions asked. Period. Here's the good news. You get to keep your heart, your soul. You get to be a good person. You come across as classy to women. She will tell her mother and her grandmother how wonderful you are, and they will say the same thing. Because you're communicating and romancing her in this way. The male form of seduction, the pickup line, the lines, the openers. Remember, the left brain is the linear brain, L-I-N-E, line. Linear, same thing. The linear word literally means to go in a line. Women consider that crude. When you do it in the right brain way, it's considered classy, respectful. I was talking to I was probably like 34, and I was at the sandwich shop. We were outside. They had tables outside because it was summer. And the girl sitting next to me, I was talking to her, and I was talking to her in this way. And her mother was with her. And her mother reaches over, touches me on the shoulder, and she goes, I'm so glad my daughter met you. You are one of the most respectful, classiest men that I've ever met. I'm so glad you're talking to her. Now you can understand, I was doing this romantic internal seduction stuff. Her mother didn't look at me like I was a bad guy. Now this was a wealthy family. These were educated people. These were classy people. So what I'm trying to get your brain to understand is this is not a bad thing what you're going to learn in this course. You're going to realize, like, holy shit, women love this. Women will talk to you. They'll say, hey, come over to my house. I want to invite some of my friends over. I want you to talk to them about this stuff. They love this. This is not a bad thing. The other reason why I use the word seduction is because a lot of men won't respond to ads that say, hey, learn how to communicate with women. Hey, learn how to love your girlfriend. Hey, learn how to understand her. It just, you guys, at least in my case, I've never gotten responses from that. So there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into this, and I've had to put up with a lot of shit from a lot of people. Oh, I can't believe you're teaching this to... Now, here's the funny thing. It's not the women that get mad. It's the men that get mad. The women, once they find out, they're like, oh, this is awesome. Even the phrase cracked female code, women are like, oh, what's this? Because women understand that they speak in a code. So when a man mentions this, like, hey, what is this about? They're kind of curious, like, wait a minute. Did this guy literally crack the code? So when I break it down on the different patterns, the different ways that women communicate, women are like, you really do get it. I'm like, yeah, you've heard a lot of guys say, oh yeah, it's all about communication. And then they don't do it. With me, at first you had doubts, but then when I started like breaking things down, the deeper I go, the more you realize, like, holy shit, this guy actually gets it. And that's what I'm offering you. So if you want to get started, go to my website right now, seductionpower.com, buy my book, Cracked Female Code, and read it. And then invest in yourself and take my course. This is going to change the trajectory of your entire life. Not just when dealing with women, in every area, from your social life, social power, business, sales, everything. So if you're ready to go from powerless to powerful, confident to desired, and you're ready to master the hidden female language and transform your dating life, hit subscribe and check the link in the description, seductionpower.com. Buy my book, Crack the Female Code, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.